In this video, we will explore the switch decision structure in Java. This is the only decision structure that doesn't use the keyword if. Unlike the if-based decision structures, which test a Boolean expression for true or false, the switch decision structure branches based on the ordinal value. For this example, the value stored in the variable month will be compared to all of the possible branches, which are 1, 2, 3, or the default. If a match is found, let's say 3 in this case, then the program will flow through the branch of the case 3. So in general, the month variable can be replaced by any expression that evaluates to a value. The branches could include any possible cases. Notice that in the switch statement, the expression is an ordinal value, not a logical expression, and it can only be a char, byte, short, int, or a string. So how do we write switch statement in Java? You start with the switch keyword, which is used to evaluate the test expression between the parentheses. Notice that the test expression could be a variable, a literal, or a complex expression that results in a char, byte, short, int, or a string. The switch statement has cases, each identified by the keyword case. Each case has a corresponding case value, which must be unique. The case value should also be ordinal and matches the type of the test expression. You can have any number of cases in your switch statement. However, since you compare the value of the test expression to the cases, they are usually countable and limited. If the test expression matches any of the cases, let's say value 1 for this example, the program moves to this case. The Java statement under this case are executed until a break statement is found, if it exists. The break statement is optional and is used to exit from the case statement. If the break statement is not included, Java will continue executing to the next cases until a break is found. This behavior is called fall through and unless used properly can cause logical errors. The default section of the switch statement is optional and must be at the end of the switch statement if included. The default section captures all other values not included in the cases. This means that if no match is found and the default section is included, it will execute. On the other hand, if the default section is not included in the switch statement, Java will exit the switch statement and continue the code. So back to our example of the month with the 3 cases and the default section. How do we write its Java code? Switch over the month. The first case matches month with 1. If it's a match, print January and break. If it matches 2, print February. If it matches 3, print March. And if not any of these, print wrong month. Notice that the default block does not need a break statement since it always appears at the end of the switch statement. Let's go back to our problem of classifying aircraft based on its Mach number. Can we transform this if-else-if structure into a switch statement? The answer is simply no. Why? Because the switch statement compares ordinal values and not ranges, and we can test for a range greater than 5, for example. Instead, we need to create a case for every number greater than 5, which is impossible. This is a demo of the switch statement in Java. And as we can see here, we have a program that imported the scanner. We are creating our scanner object, and we are going to prompt the user for a string. And from that string, we are going to extract the first character using char@, to extract the letter grade A, B, or C. Here we are going to have a switch statement, which is going to switch over choice, which is that character. And then we are going to match it to one of these cases, case A, case B, case C. Notice here that since choice is a char of type char, all of these cases cases values, they should be also of the type char. So there are three possibilities here, the A, B, or C, and then we have a default case, which is going to capture anything else. Also, we have a break at the end of each of these cases to exit once we find the match. So let's run this one. So here, if I enter A, it's going to match this to A, and it's going to print A. So it's going to execute whatever line that we have inside A in this case. So it will say you entered A. If I try to run it again and type C, it's going to say you entered C. And notice that it exits after this. Now, what if I enter something that is not a match? It doesn't have a case here, not A, B, or C. So let's say, for example, I'm going to enter D. So in this case, it's going to try to match the A, no, B, no, C, no, and then it's going to go to the default, which is going to capture A, B, or C. Not this, that is not, or that's not A, B, or C. Now, notice here that if I remove the default case, it will run and execute. And in this case here, I can say, for example, A, and it will still work. The only difference is that if I enter something that doesn't match any of these cases, it's going to exit the switch statement without doing anything. So it didn't find anything, it exits, and that's the end of the code, and that's why it stops. The other thing that we want to cover is the switch with no break. So here I have the same program, but this time I removed all the break from all of these cases. So if I enter something that is not in the range, or it's not one of these cases. So in this case, for example, here, notice here it works perfectly if it's not one of these cases. Now, if I enter something that is one of these cases, let's say B, for example, and notice what's going to happen. This behavior is called the fall through. What happens is that it found B, that the choice matches B, so it executed whatever is in B, but then since there is no break, it keeps falling through and execute everything that comes after this until the end. So it also executed the system.out.println you enter C, which clearly not true, and also it's going to enter that that's not an A, B, or C. So this behavior is not good because it's not accurate in this case. That's wrong, right? Now, does that mean that the fall through is a bad behavior that we try to avoid? It could be, but there are some times where you can actually use it properly. So for example, here I could say here I'm going to enter break, right, to make it exit, but this time I want it to fall through if I enter A lowercase or A uppercase. So I'm going to treat both as the same, right? So in this case, if I enter something like this, compile, and let's enter A. So if I enter A uppercase, it's going to work because it tries to match A, nothing happens. It tries to match A uppercase, yes. So it's going to print this, and then it breaks. Now, if I try to input A lowercase, notice that it gets the same behavior because it matches A, that's good, and then it falls through and executes whatever comes after, which is this, until it finds a break statement, and then it exits. All right. So this part here is doing the fall through, which is okay because we are using it properly. So this is something you need to be also careful about.